This is Mark. Welcome to the show. And my comment is to the Clergy Project itself and why these people feel a need to actively try to get clergy members to join their club. It seems like the atheists are trying to actively promote atheism by promoting this Clergy Project that is going to be a movie, I understand. So I feel like this is a way that the atheists are trying to convert people, even though they say that it's not a religion. They seem to be doing this religiously with the intent of grouping like-minded believers together.
You know, I could address that if you'd like me to.
Sure.
This is Al Stefanelli, and I sit on the board of directors with the Clergy Project, and I appreciate your question because that's a very common misconception, and I thank you for bringing that up because it will allow me to explain. The Clergy Project doesn't go and actively recruit. We're not out there saying, hey, come join our club. The purpose of the Clergy Project is to give a place for former clergy or current clergy who are experiencing a crisis of faith and have decided they no longer believe. It's a closed society. You can't log on the internet and get into our website. The process for membership is arduous. It's very involved. It takes quite a while. The Clergy Project functions as a medium for former and current clergy who no longer believe to have a support system. That's all it is. Nobody in the Clergy Project, and I can say that with great certainty, goes to churches, seeks out pastors, tries to deconvert people and get them to join, the clergy. That's not what we're all about. When I ceased being a believer, I was still preaching. And I had such a sense of aloneness. I didn't think there was anybody on the planet that was experiencing what I was experiencing. I had lost my support system. I didn't have the fellowship of my fellow believers. There was literally no one that I could talk to and no one that I could vent to or no one that could understand what I was going through. Had the Clergy Project been around when that happened, that would have been wonderful. So I understand that there's a lot of people out there who think that, we're out there evangelizing and trying to get – the only way someone's going to learn about us is if they seek us out, not us seek them out. And I hope that addressed that for you.
Well, not really, Al, because Richard Dawkins is the one who is actually funding the Clergy Project, and Daniel Dennett, and your website. I was on your Facebook page, which anybody can comment on, and I was just asking sincere deist questions. Guy blackballed me and cut me off, and I was just as polite as any Christian evangelical. In fact, I would fit under the category of a Clergy Project, as I believe in God, and if you guys are out to help people who believe in the... I'd like to know, Al, why you go from a belief in God to no belief in God, whether you're a deist or an atheist. You guys call yourself atheists, but I don't understand why you're not promoting atheism.
Everyone, that's different for everybody. It's just for the same reason why people choose to believe. But as for the issue you had on Facebook, that I can't address. I'm actually not part of the Clergy Project Facebook page. I don't know who or what happened to you. If you received a negative response from that, all I can offer you is my apologies. That's not really what the purpose is, and I'll ask someone to look into that.
You're not promoting, but it's very strange that active atheists who are trying to get rid of the God concept with the God delusion, the end of faith, God isn't great, and all these four horsemen type atheists page of getting rid of the God concept.
And those are individuals. Those are individuals, and that's what they choose to do.
They have to be individuals that are funding these projects of yours.
That's where the money comes from. But I could tell you with great certainty that the people that you had mentioned are not, and they're not active in the day-to-day operations of the Clergy Project.
And let me interject if I can, Al. This is Jerry DeWitt. I'm considered to be one of the first people to come out after going into the Clergy Project, and I'm also a board member, and some clarification needs to be made. The Dawkins Foundation financed the establishment of the website. That's it. That's the only money that the Dawkins Foundation has donated to this project, and that itself was nothing more than an act of sympathy for a segment of the population that had no means of support, no emotional support, no type of structure to support them. So it truly was a humanitarian act, and it was an act of sympathy. And I can tell you that Richard Dawkins and Daniel Dennett have had absolutely no input and no influence into the Clergy Project since its foundation. This is strictly ran and operated without any funding except for a minimum amount of donations from grassroots individuals. It's completely ran by members of the Clergy Project, all simply out of a sympathy for each other's like situations. So it's not in any way an evangelistic tool trying to bring people out of the church. It simply tries to support people who are already that far along, but don't have any other form of support.
I have a question that might help here. Do you have any members of the Clergy Society who believe in God, maybe in a deist sense?
No.
Jason asking? Okay.
No.
They don't allow that.
No.
They don't allow
of course we don't allow that. Why would we allow that? You know, that would be like allowing a pro-life person to join a pro-choice, society.
Well,
why would they want to?
I suppose why you might. Well, as a former clergyman myself, I can say that I've gone through a similar thing. Sure, I still believed in God, but I've disbelieved in the rest of the creed, the Nicene Creed, and it's really tough. And you don't always have to believe on every little thing to help somebody out. So I might have been interested in your organization. I might have said, okay, well, sure, it's run by atheists. That's all right with me. The point is that they're trying to base their beliefs on reason. I'm trying to base my beliefs on reason, and I've lost a lot in the process. So you're telling me that? Are you telling me that someone like me would not have been welcome into your organization?
Yes, exactly, and only because of you still believe in God. Now, no one is judging you for that. No one is saying, "Well, you're a horrible person. We don't want you in our club."
God isn't great.
Our organization is specifically for people, for clergy, former and current clergy, who don't believe in God. There's other recovering from religion. It's a great place to go if you are dealing with doctrinal issues or whatnot. But if you still believe in God, no, the Clergy Project is not for you. We still love you, man.
Yeah, let me address this real quick, Jason. And this the point you made is an excellent point, and I hope to continue a relationship with both you, Jason, and with Jim, because I think a lot of you already. The point is really being made over again. The reason there are no deists in the Clergy Project is not only because it's very, very niched to show support to people all in the very same situation, but it's also because it truly is not an evangelical tool. There's no desire to bring people into the Clergy Project and attempt to walk them somewhere else. We understand that if a person is a minister, say in particular a Christian minister, and they come out as an atheist, or even just like you said, you suffered because you came out as a deist, this is going to have such devastating consequences. This needs to be something this needs to be a decision that they make completely and totally on their own to make that kind of move publicly. It needs to be a self-revelation. So if we were to allow deists or someone who, say like Jim, who has a different type of definition of God into these conversations, then we could be guilty of moving people intentionally. And we're not there to move anyone anywhere. We're only there to support people who are already in this particular position.
And it says that on your website that this is for clergymen who are now atheists?
Well, it's a closed club as well.
Yes.
You can only get in.
I have one question.
I'm not sure you can only get in. Go ahead.
When you use the word atheist, Thomas Paine was called an atheist because he denied the theism, or the way Abrahamic people understood their revelations found in the Bible. So he was called an atheist. So you guys use this word atheist. It's a very confusing word because I'm an atheist. I deny the Abrahamic faith as they understand these so-called sacred books. So I'm considered an atheist too, but I believe in God or a higher power of some kind that we come from. So you guys, in my interpretation of your word of atheist, it's the wrong word. And even Karen Armstrong, who wrote many books on the matter, says that the atheist was never meant to be an outright denial of the sacred per se. So I think that the atheism, you guys should really read Thomas Paine and study his works before you start giving yourselves the title of atheist, because in a sense you're telling us your own interpretation of what this force is. Even though you don't think you are, you're telling us that God isn't intelligent, first of all, and that he doesn't play an active role in your life in any way. So by calling yourselves, giving yourselves the title of atheist, you're injecting what your faith is on whatever this force is that we come from. And you don't even realize
that's key. I think that's key to bring Thomas Paine's reasoning into this discussion, because what I've found is that gentlemen in your position, at times, it might not be you gentlemen, but others that I've worked with, they take all that religion has explained poorly. In many atheists, I found they're not opposed to the existence of a God. When the rubber hits the road and we really get into dialogue, what they're opposed to is the religious view of God that's been pressed into culture for centuries, and it's so profoundly diverse from what Scripture actually says in so many ways that, of course, many people say, I'm just not going to believe this religion. Go and determine, having a dialogue with the Clergy Project members, as Jason may be a deist, or myself with a belief system that's kind of left of center as far as Christianity goes, having conversations with people, there might be a possibility that we can inject a more sensible understanding of things that were poorly understood because of all the Christian teaching that they were engrossed in. And being ministers, all they had was Christian dogma to deal with. Right? It was a horrible brainwashing that caused such cognitive dissonance, and they had to pull out eventually, or they were going to explode. But there's a middle road here, and I guarantee you, it's not Christianity and it's not atheism.
No, it's what Thomas Paine talked about in a revolution in religion. And if you guys just study The Age of Reason and Thomas Paine's theological work, you will see that atheism and theism are just one's faith on the matter. Does God play a conscious active role in our life, theism, or does he not play a conscious active role in our life, atheism? It's one's faith on the matter. We're all deists who believe in a deity, and we're all deists if we believe that we come from something. It's the title. You guys, the active atheists are so mad at the Abrahamic faith that they can't even think straight, and there's no talking to them. I talk very politely on all these blogs. I always get booted off for the things I say. You guys are just as vindictive as any Abrahamic faith, you active atheists. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but the faith that you are propagating is a dangerous faith, can be just as dangerous as any Abrahamic faith. And one needs to only look at YouTube to know that to be true. Just look at the youth that are self-professed atheists.
Mark, you're talking to us, so we must not be part of that group.
Well, that's true. You know, I shouldn't use. I'm sorry for using it as the collective whole, but I'm just saying. I think you guys owe Thomas Paine another look. We've forgotten this hero.
Yeah.
The classic
Thomas
definition
Paine
of
is one of my
deism,
heroes.
You know, the classic definition of deism comes from Noah Webster and the Catholic Church.
And Carl Sagan is one of my heroes.
Exactly. Well, we've got another caller here. Mark, thank you for the call. Jerry, you're so wonderful, and I just admire you for what you've gone through. What would your closing remarks be to our audience tonight?
Sure. My closing remarks would be, my story has been sensationalized and carries with it a weight of notoriety, but I am the biggest people pleaser that's ever walked the planet. I am afraid of everything. I am riddled.
It may not seem like it, but this video is meant to help you, active atheist.
We will heal this planet, one pure deist at a time.
if there was any way that I could have done